Hi, I'm Sonnet with Sonnet's Garden Blooms. I want to welcome you all to my channel. In today's video, we are doing another thrift to treasure. So items from my recent thrift hauls, we are flipping into beautiful treasures. I'm so excited to show off the new IOD products as well. I couldn't use them all because there are quite a few, but we are using both set of stamps and we're going to use both of the new molds. We're going to take those and we're going to use them in 4 of the items that we are flipping today. If you haven't been on my channel before, what you're going to find is a lot of DIY, thrift hauls, thrift flips, really a day in the life of a small business owner. So I like to take you guys along when I go to different shows, when I'm in my booths, when I do different, events. So I like to show you the real life of a small business owner. If that is the type of channel that you do like, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, turn on that bell notification. So every Monday and Friday when I do release a video, you'll be notified. And today, if you liked the video, go ahead, give it a thumbs up, and I can't wait to hear what you guys all think. All right, well, enjoy.
For our first project here, we are taking this globe that I picked up on my recent haul. I paid $7.99 for it, and I decided, if you remember a while ago, I had a table. I bought this decoupage paper. I haven't had an opportunity to use it, so we are going to use it today on the globe. For starters, we are going to take White Swan. One of my favorite whites. I love White Swan. I love vintage white, but we're taking White Swan, and which is a DIY paint, and we are going to paint the globe. So anytime you're using decoupage paper, one thing, I've never used it. This is the first time that I'm trying it, but everything I read is you want to start with a very light color behind it, like a white. Anytime you use anything darker, it just doesn't make the paper pop as much. So it is highly recommended to use white paint behind the paper. So the one thing is, with the painting that was done on the globe, I did end up putting 2 coats of paint on here just to make sure I had complete coverage, that I wasn't getting any of that, the flowers or anything like that, to pop through my decoupage paper. Now the globe is dry, so we are going to use DIY's liquid patina, and we are going to start applying the liquid patina, and then we are going to, as we're going to apply it underneath the paper, and then we will apply it on top of the paper. You do want underneath the paper to have a good coat of the liquid patina, and then when you lay it down, you just start applying over it, and I just work my way around just to make sure I get full coverage from on the entire piece. As you can see, I'm cutting apart the paper. Initially, I'm like, how am I going to do this with the globe being round? I can't just lay the pieces, the whole piece on here. There will be a lot of wrinkling. So what I decided to do was just cut in this piece the globe together, and I am absolutely loving how this is turning out. I also let the top portion of the globe dry. I then flipped it over once the top was dry, and then I continued to do the bottom. What I found was I started touching the globe as I was making my way around, and I was touching the paper. Because it wasn't dry, it was pulling the paper back, and it was kind of tearing. So after I finished applying all the decoupage paper on the entire globe, I did let it dry. I let it dry like a couple hours. I took the base of the globe and I brought it outside, and I used that black satin spray paint, and I sprayed the base. For project 2, I picked these up. I thought they were super cute and I thought I could do something to them and hang them on the wall. In my last haul video, do you remember when I said, I always forget to show you guys at least one thing? Well, this is the one item I forgot to show you. And then the very last project, I forgot to show you that I picked that up as well. I paid $1.99 for each of these. And what I did is I cleaned them up. I took off the bows and just washed them down really good. You can kind of see that there's a lot of dust and dirt on them. I wanted those to be nice and clean before I did anything to it. I'm taking White Swan and I'm going to paint the inside again, just like I did with the last project. But for this, we are going to take tissue paper and we are going to make our own decoupage paper by using IOD's ink and stamps. Then we're going to take the new rosette molds and we are going to make something decorative for the inside. So let's go ahead and get it painted on the inside. And I do need to apply 2 coats of white on the inside. I did try to very hard just to paint the inside. After it dried, I did take a little scrubby and I scrubbed all the edges just to clean it up really nice because I really wanted the edge to be black and really make that interior pop. So next, what we're doing is we're taking the tissue paper, and there's actually 2 different sides to a piece of tissue paper. There's a glossy side and a real matte side. You're going to want to stamp on the matte side of the tissue paper. It was a bit wrinkly, so I took my hands and I kind of almost like ironed it out or just made sure it wasn't as wrinkled. And then I'm taking the stamp Kindest Regards. Now, if you do not have this this stamp, you are missing out. There is so many possibilities with that, and I've used it so many different applications. I absolutely love it. What I am wanting for the inside of these round dishes is I want that writing in there. So I'm just going to take the center of the stamp and I am going to ink that up. Now the IOD ink is permanent, so once it dries, by using that liquid patina, it is not going to smear or bleed or anything like that. So we're taking this stamp, like I said, and we're inking it up and we're going to lay it down. And once you set it down, you are just going to rub on it to get as much of the ink on that tissue paper. One thing I did notice, the tissue paper, because it is so thin, definitely have something underneath, because if you're doing this on your kitchen table or on something, it did bleed through and you do not want to wreck something good. So now we're going to use the new molds, which is the rosettes. I absolutely love this mold. There's just so many possibilities with this as well. For starters, what you're going to need is cornstarch. So I always have some set aside. You're going to need the clay, the air dry clay. And how you use this is you take the cornstarch and you put it inside the mold. This just gives the mold or allows the clay to pop out that much easier, so you can still get all that detail and a good shape. So I just go in and basically put some cornstarch in, rub it in there really good, tap out any excess, and then I start with the clay and I just take a chunk and I spread it out. If I have to add any more, I do, but I just try to work it all in, and then I start on one edge and I just pull all the excess out. So the nice thing about the IOD molds is it does have a micro rim, which is unique to molds. It's just a nice rim that gives you a nice clean edge. I love it. And it just, you can see how I'm just taking my thumb and kind of like pulling it out. That micro rim allows you to do that and get a real nice, crisp, clean mold. So while the molds are drying, we are going to now take that tissue paper, cut it in half. We are taking the liquid patina again, and we are coating the entire bottom with the liquid patina. We are then setting the tissue paper down into that container, and I started in the middle, and I just started applying liquid patina over the top, and then worked my way to the edges. Once I got to the edges, I just took my liquid patina and the brush, and I kind of just kept rubbing on the edges, and it just peeled away. I went around, made sure that the edges were just fine, and then I added one good coat to the entire piece. While that's drying, the rosettes set up a bit, and I am going ahead and painting them Petticoat Pink by DIY. I was really inspired by that decoupage paper. It had pinks and like fuchsias in it. So the whole theme of everything today has that kind of look to it. So I did take a hairdryer and I dried the DIY paint. So the mold itself is a little damp yet, so it's still bendable. The paint is pretty much dry on it, but I wanted to paint it, and if I have already applied it, I would not be able to paint it. I am using Titebond on the back. I squirt a little on, and then I just rubbed it with my finger, and I'm going to then put it right in the center of each of these containers. So now that everything is dry, I'm going ahead and I am applying one last coat of liquid patina. This does seal the entire piece, and then I'm taking golden rule, and I just started trying this. I'm going to add just a little gold right to the very edges of everything. So I'm just taking my finger and then lightly rubbing it all over, and just to highlight all the detail on these rosettes. I just love how these turned out, and I can't wait to get them in one of my booths. For our third project, if you remember, I did pick this up at my recent haul, and it was $5.99 if I remember correctly. I decided I was taking Simon's name off the container. So that just took a little bit of legwork to take that off. My vision here is we're going to paint the edges. We are going to use Kissing Booth, which is like a fuchsia color. And then we are going to take the new frames mold, and we are going to create a frame for right where Simon's name was. And we are going to decoupage the frame itself. So let's go ahead and get this project started. So we are using Kissing Booth by DIY. It is a fuchsia color. Because of the black, it did take 2 full coats of paint to cover it up, and I let that dry really good, and then we proceeded to the next step. So while that's drying, what I decided to do was I wanted to use that very large bee. So I took out the frames 2 mold, and we are using the large frame. So just like I did with the rosettes, we're using cornstarch and putting cornstarch in the entire piece, and then we are going to use the air dry clay to make the mold. So because the frame was so large, it did take a little bit more clay, but I realized too, I used a knife to try to flatten it out. What I've noticed with the smaller images, it's just very easy to use my thumb. So for a much larger image like this, I might need to use like a spackling tool next time. So now I'm going to just position this where I want it, and I'm going to let it dry overnight. So now that it is pretty hard, like it's basically hardened, it's still a little pliable. I'm going to take it off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint the entire frame, the edge, the same color as the edges of the galvanized container. I'm going to then take my hairdryer and then dry the whole piece, and we are going to use Tite Bond to apply it and adhere it to this container. Now that it's on the container, I'm just going to take a kissing booth and finish painting the rest of the actual frame. I'm leaving the middle of the frame white so we can then decoupage that portion of it. I am going to take my hairdryer and then dry the rest of the frame so we can decoupage. So I want to get that bee image right in the center. I am going to take a fine tip Sharpie, and we are going to just trace like right on the outside of the frame so there's actually excess paper. Then I'm going to take my scissors and I am going to cut that portion of the decoupage paper out, and you can see just like that, it basically covers almost the whole frame. So we are going to take DIY's liquid patina again, and we're going to start by putting an entire good layer over the entire bottom of the frame. We are then going to start in the center and just work our way to the edges. Just like I did with those rounds, we are going to just keep rubbing on the edges until it peels off any excess decoupage paper. And actually I did use my knife as well. Then I did apply a good coat over the entire piece, and the liquid patina also seals the actual DIY paint. So it's not only used for decoupage paper, but you can also seal the paint with it. So what I'm going to do is I want the same type of look on the entire container. I am going to go around and apply the liquid patina over both the top and the bottom edges of the container as well. So for the next step, we are going to use the new stamp set called Letterpress. I love this set of stamps, guys. This is really going to be another game changer for all your smalls. I love that the IOD sisters listened to all of us and realized we needed a set of stamps, alphabet stamps, I should say, that are much smaller. And what did they do? They gave us 3 different fonts all in one. I absolutely love this. So anytime you get new stamps from IOD, you do want to prep them. You're just going to take a fine grit sandpaper and you're going to just rough up the entire all of the stamps. This just really preps the stamps. So here I am stamping Be Happy. First and foremost, I probably should have changed it to B-E-E, happy, but I just had a Be Happy. When I set this up, I used I used 2 cans to hold it, and it kind of jiggled and it smeared. So the ink was still wet. I was able to wipe it off enough to then re-stamp. I decided rather than put it all on one sheet, I would do B on one and then Happy on the other, and that worked a lot better. If you remember from one of my recent hauls, I did find this really cool wood container. It's kind of like a jewelry box or something like that. I decided to use DIY's Aviary. Green is such a spring color, and it's like one of my favorite greens from DIY. I did apply 2 coats of the paint to this, and I let it dry really good. After it was dry, I did use the wet distressing technique to distress the entire piece. This just cuts down on the amount of dust that happens when you distress a piece. If you're using like sandpaper, you get so much dust. So I just take an old rag and I wet it down, and then I just distress all the edges. And in between, I just rinse the rag out and then continue on with the distressing. Once I'm done, I just let the piece re-dry, and then we're going to go back and do a clear coat. To seal this piece, we are going to use DIY's Big Top, and we are going to do just a nice even layer of that. One thing that I do recommend with any of the DIY paints or the Big Top is don't dip in the container. I go through all of my DIY paints and Big Top fairly quick, so I am, but it is an all natural paint. It does not have preservatives, and so is the Big Top, so it can just create like a funky smell, and you can get bacteria in it. So what I recommend is just dump that into a separate container and then use it that way. For project 5, we are going to start off by spraying this entire piece black. This was a piece that I forgot to show you on my recent haul. Once it is sprayed with 2 coats of spray paint, I went ahead and used DIY's White Swan and gave the whole piece 2 coats of paint. So now I'm just taking a fresh rag and I am wet distressing the entire piece. And I just do this erratically all over the piece, just try to make it look naturally worn and distressed. And then from there, I let it dry really well. And now we're going to use the new set of stamp called Le Courrier. I love this because it's in French, and I just like all the different newspaper font. When I started doing this, I put the first stamp on here. I realized pretty quick I wanted to add different transfers, so I went ahead and clear coated the entire piece. I let it dry really well before I went back and added the transfers. I wanted to incorporate both the transfer and the actual stamp together. So I went ahead and just sporadically put transfers amongst the actual stamps, and I just am loving how this is all coming together. I just love how the black and white and that pop of color from the transfers work so well together. And when you're using this, the only thing I recommend anytime you're using any of the stamps on more of like a slicker surface like this, just put your stamp down and try to hold it in place so that there's no smearing at all. But I just go through, and my inspiration for this, or when I found this and I started doing this, it just reminded me of like an old suitcase where people just, would put you know, stickers and different things all over their suitcases, like the old vintage ones. And that's where I got the inspiration to do this. And in the end, I just absolutely love how this all turned out. I think it looks so awesome. And I think it's going to sell pretty quick in one of my booths. And then I'm going to use Big Top, and I am going to seal the whole piece so the transfers are all sealed in, and then we have the finished product.
So what did you guys all think? What was your favorite item? Honestly, it was between the globe and that little white case. I just love how they both turned out. The white case just reminded me of like a vintage like suitcase, you know, something from back then when people would just throw all kinds of really cool stuff on their, you know, on their suitcase. I don't know. That's what kind of inspired that whole feel of it. And I just love how the stamps and the transfers just work so well together and how you can cut them apart and mix and match. That was by far so cool. Plus, I am totally obsessed now with decoupage. That decoupage paper, creating your own decoupage paper. So I'll definitely be doing that much, much more in videos and probably like different projects for my booth. So but I also want to let the cat out of the bag. I know I've been talking to you guys about like a big surprise or something I'm going to be doing on Monday the 28th. And I just thought, you know what, I'm going to tell you guys today so that when Monday comes, if it's something you're interested in, that you can sign up for it. So effective April 3rd will be 1 year that I have been on YouTube, and nothing with my YouTube channel is going to change. So you guys are going to see me every Monday and Friday still, and it's going to be all the same stuff, like lots of different DIYs and all the fun thrift hauls, thrift flips. So that is going to be the same. But I have been hearing from you guys a lot on the back end. I have been getting emails. I have been getting text messages, private messages, you name it. People asking questions about my business, about how I do different things, wanting encouragement, wanting suggestions. And I realized that that's where I was like when I first started my small business. I didn't know who to contact. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know how to do things. What should I do? I never had anybody to bounce ideas off of. And it just got me really thinking, like, you know, if people are asking me all these questions and having all these concerns, then maybe I can offer something to you. So I did a little research and we did a Zoom call recently. I'm so thankful for the 7 ladies that sat down with me. We had a blast and I cannot wait to do it again. But it was so much fun, like just talking to viewers, getting their feedback, asking them what they thought about my idea. So my idea was I wanted to create a community of like-minded individuals that want to encourage and support each other. And I came up with this idea because I realized that I didn't have that. I didn't have a community. I didn't have anybody to bounce ideas off of. And that is what we will be kicking off, or I will be kicking off on Monday. So it is a membership program, and because I want to keep this fairly small, I don't want 30,000 people in the community. I just want ones that are really there to learn, to support, encourage, and that really is what a community is about, and really support each other on our small business journeys. And so There is going to be a fee for the platform, for the membership, and I am going to be kicking that all off on Monday. But what is included? And that is a real key. So basically each month we are going to be tackling a new topic, a new focus about the small business world. And the girls gave me an idea for April. So we are going to be, there will be the first topic for April based on what they said, the 7 ladies. Each month, we're going to do what I call a member heart-to-heart, and we're going to sit down on a Zoom call and we're going to talk about all things about the business and really their concerns, really like industry issues, you know, what's working, what's not, you know, talking about pricing, talking about just different things that are going on in our booths or in our stores, you know, really to support each other and give each other like ideas and suggestions. So that is one thing we're going to do every month. We're also going to have our community. Again, we're going to be a tight-knit community. We're going to know each other by name. We're going to be friends, and we're going to help each other out, encourage each other. So when we have, you know, different problems, we're going to support each other and give suggestions and ideas. And then there's going to be an actual discussion board platform or discussion board right on the platform. So I will never be sending you over to Facebook. Everything is going to be in this one area. We're going to create any events within the area. We're going to do lots of fun things. And then we're going to do every month, it's going to be called our member forward focus session. So each month I am going to change it up a bit, but it's also going to be all about the member focus. It's really going to be about our members. So whether or not we do like a member spotlight, or maybe I'll feature a member on my YouTube channel, we're going to just do fun things. And we're just going to have a lot of fun with that piece of it. But it's, again, going to be another learning session. And then, you guys, I love DIYs. I am a DIYer at heart. So everyone in our community, once a month, we are going to get together and I'm going to come up with a project and we are going to do a DIY project together. So that will be super fun too. I also want to maybe do, we are going to do seasonal challenges, basically just a fun challenge. Where we will go, I know like over the holidays, you know, is like our biggest moneymaker. So we are going to come up with a challenge between all of us to kick off the holidays and try to see who can make the most bang for their buck. So anyway, something like that. But it is going to be just a fun group and I cannot wait to kick it off on Monday. I will have all those details Monday for you. But thank you for listening and just trying to understand like what my idea is. But again, nothing is going to change with YouTube. This is just above and beyond for those that would be interested. And this is not going to be for everyone, definitely. But it is going to be for the ones that want to just take it to the next level with their small business. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the community and obviously see you Monday. You guys have a great weekend. Bye.